So here we are, part 2 of The Sailor and the Mermaid. I know of a sailor leaping the sea, rising, riding, catching the ecstasy full in his sails, the winds and the rage, forgetting the cries of his children at play at home in the lee. The joy of his sailing lifting him over the pull and the moil, the prize of the master, his captain's bounty, heart-paid cargo, safely embarked, awkwardly stowed, as he flies over waves, cresting the currents and leaning into the winds. The mermaid trembles at bulkheads, sucking with care the simple splinters caught in her fingers of frayed timbers. New knees knocked by cabin beds, legs unfamiliar, nor sea legs nor land. The scales had fell as she'd taken his hand. In a seesaw of slopes, of to and of fro, she flounders and tumbles on carpets below. She raises a cry, calls to her captain, finds herself silent, as fishes still scream from the trawlerman's net. Putting feet under her, stepping, she's mazed at the doors, and the stairwell's loom is a climb never known, a vertigo pit on the ocean's mell, meeting with upwards and downs such as she'd never found them to be, in the all direction onward of the freedom of the sea. Her vision is sharpened, light is unbent. She's frighted by sound in the shell of her ear, echoing hard, not felt all around. But now, unsurrounded, no ripple to tell her captain's direction, no song to be felt in the waves or the sand. She kicks with her arms and finds herself grounded, rolls with the royal and feels herself falling. No billowing cushion of ocean, but only a hit deck of tumble and unsoftened timber to catch her and bruise. At table she sat, her feet curled beneath her, and curtains of cloth knotted over her shoulders. The cup in her hand holds what once had been breath. There are fish laying, steaming, too hot to be touched, their scales peel blistered, with eyes blind with scorch. The sailor is eating, offers her biscuit and bread, speaking in thunderstrokes, cracking hard over her head. Catches her flinches, a sounding line heavy with lead. I know of a sailor, spent roving the ocean, seeking in reeling through high-riding crests and deep-feeling furrows, sharing his sorrows with moon and with wind, waking one morrow expecting to find his sought and won prize gone with the morning, dried from his eyes, seeing beside him the signs of her sleeping, the sea change wrought in his bed by her ripples. Turbulent sheets swept over the floor, the stranger door left open, surging backwards and forth. Staggering blindly, he follows to unplot her course. Beneath the mizzen he finds her, dancing, joyful now on legs, leaping with laughter into the hold of young gravity's arms, and blowing to air a flock, not a shoal, of wind-catching music and fluttering notes. Oh, then she's rolled by the ocean, thrown by the swell of the cambering deck. A starfish, she clings to the tilting floor, to the rungs of a ladder. Atop the high deck of the forecastle heaving, gripped in the sway, she pauses from singing to clutch at hiatus and sureness of feet. He dashes to reach her, to catch her, to hold her. She splashes against him, spinning him round in a whirlpool dance, alive as the foam on the break, as shivered as rills down the spine. With spray from the whale and dolphin's laugh, she drenches his vision, his lips, and the crag of his grimace, his wind-blistered neck. Coatings of barnacles fall from the rocks grown tight on his face, and pearls might be fished from his eyes. She draws him like shingle and shells to the swale, to the sea's heavy breast, sings a wish to the wave, and her sigh is for stillness, a haven of rest and staying unmoved. She looks out over the heave all around them, lays a dry hand on his mountainous shoulder, a tide of imploring, and she asks her sweet captain to bring her to shore. What can move a mountain? Can drag it raw from the root of the world? What can bring a peak from the heavens of its gaze in the skies to its knees in the dunes? What moon can pull hills to a crest, to break over ground into ripples, into frowns on the deep earth's brow, hanging old chalk jowls on the clean cliff slice? What can make it scowl, but make a ragged crag throw itself plummeting to the beach? From the ocean, the land might be a drowned man, drifted up upon itself, lodged on a rock, or else dead and bone dry, or the last movement bled through an emptying vein, the red river's spill. How can anything ever be ever so still? Even the deepest of waters is rolling, a swirling dance that gathers the left of the land and everything alters, whilst highest has waves within waves, and in writhing waves to the sky, to the moon, to the ship sailing by. In the midst of this riot, the brooding land remains fixed in its place, pushing the waters that rain ever down from the swell of its shoulders, spitting the rampaging salt from its mouth. He drags the ship from the sea to the shore, to the threat of the rock, where, thrown on the sky, the mountain's shadow covers the stars. He carries her high from a hammock below, wakes her tenderly, cradles her, bears her like ocean, as unseen as water, as freedom, as time running out over the sands. He lifts her like sunrise to gleam on the hills, hears silence, suspension. Looking up over her tension of ecstasy, light in his hands, he watches the mermaid on point of her breaking over the shore, over rock, over hard pebbled floor, her stepping, her soul never touched onto glass, onto thorn and the dullness of stone, to be reeling with weight, with the absence of current, sunk in the gravel, with graves on her feet, shadowed by mountains and snatched by the rose, not quite carried by falling, but caught by the lurch, immersing the leagues of her life into sand, sun-drying crystals of salt cross her cheek and hand. Locked in her yearning, unmoving, she gazes, green in her vision, with blueness of eye embedding to brown, at the stillness so solid, at calm of a kind never caught by the sea, the real of the world. around which the tumult of dreams must crash in a frantic collision. Held high in his arms, she glistens like diamond, reborn to the earth in clear inner edges. The salt in her blood becomes driftwood and jetsam, drips from her fingers the last of the sea, the pearlescence now washing out from her eye. The mountain is moved by the stilling of ocean. When turmoil ceases, the end of the seething, the last soft wave on the shore spills over the sand and stops. No gathering ebb, only stops, still, as a breath never taken, as hope never dared. And the sound that remains on the wind, on the air, is the groan of the mountain left roaring alone, of the fault line, the grinding of stone against stone. The wheel turns sharp in his hand, the keel comes about, the waves hit broad on the side, the lurch comes on them, a blistering motion. But caught on a rise and carried on rolling, the vessel comes gut first down onto jags, rending the sea beams, stabbed through the middle, unbinding the caulking, bursting on rocks, throwing its splinters to all waves around them, broken the back of the bounding sea steed, snapped upon the ceaseless stillness of land's teeth. And I know of a sailor engulfed by the sea, not quite breathing in water, a flounder of man under wave avalanching, a killer scree, surrender to ocean, a wildling dance of limbs, of legs and arms at all angles, seeking to open himself like a clam, to scrape bare his belly, or disappear quite like a pattering shower of rain into water. His solidity hurls him all over and round to the depths, then to dark, upsetting and upwards in all ways before him, and not knowing which way to sink. There is only a glimmer of fish scale to tell him he is not wild ocean entire. The kiss of a hand on his jutted chin, a pull through the water to calmer currents, the wave of a tail to bring him to shore.